So a long time ago, and I mean a really long time ago, years ago, okay? I don't know how many years, several years, maybe 5 even. I don't even know. Actually, maybe more than 5. It might be 5. I can't really remember perfectly or anything like that. But I remember at the time I was on leftist Twitter, and like I was following all like the leftist Twitter accounts and like, Twitter accounts affiliated with anarchism and communism and socialism and syndicalism and other cool stuff, right? So, obviously because I was in that environment, like I would a lot of the time join in on heated conversations, like heated debates or just back and forth arguments. Now, there was this one shred that's particularly relevant now for this discussion. Was this one shred. So basically, right, I was kind of just introduced to it, moment by moment. I didn't see the beginning of it. I definitely didn't see the ending of it. Actually, I never saw the ending of it. I don't know if it ever ended. I don't know what happened here. But basically, what I saw was that, there's this capitalist person, ideological capitalist, of course. I don't mean they probably didn't own a business. These people who defend the capitalist status quo usually do not. And like it was just like an economic thing. This is like economic philosophy, basically, right? Going back and forth, arguing with all these people, by the way. All these people, these socialists who were dunking on them, quote tweeting them, like insulting them, basically just humiliating them, right? Because they had a particularly not so savory for life take, basically, right? Okay, it's like financial philosophy or whatever, right? And it was surrounding ethics. So before I even knew this was about capitalism, or I knew that the person replying was an ideological capitalist or anything like that, okay, what I first saw was the person who had this like ethics philosophy take, like hypothetical scenario, who asks this question to, the capitalist, right? Like, okay, do you think this is moral? Is this okay? It's like if I ask, like, is it okay if like a capitalist, like they have a family, but then they like own the family because they're on their private property, or like, is it okay to murder homeless people if they don't get off your property, or should the Native Americans have been slaughtered because they were on land that was owned by private companies, like evil shit like that, right? It's like there's no limit to the immorality and depravity that capitalists can conjure up in their grotesque capitalist brains. Now, I was asking this. No, I wasn't asking. Sorry. So it was like the question someone else was asking, and then there was the reply. So basically, I'm going to elaborate on this a bit more than what they did, right? The person asking the question, right? Okay. Simply the questionnaire, right? Okay. But their question was this, right? And they imagined this hypothetical scenario, okay? So imagine this, right? And this is me giving more detail to it, right? But it just makes sense, right? So there's this room, right? It's a gas chamber, okay? And they're like the room is divided with like this glass, right? A glass wall, but you can't break it, right? All right, it's unbreakable, okay? You can't shatter it. Now, behind it are like 50 people, right? I don't know, they could be Jews, they could be like whatever. It doesn't matter the demographic, right? These 50 people who you, for a fact, the person outside the glass, right, know are innocent. Like you have psychic abilities. Again, this is unrealistic, but this is the best case scenario, right? You know they're innocent, they never committed a crime, they never will commit a crime, okay? None of them are sex offenders, okay? They're all innocent people who didn't do anything wrong, right? Okay. And they're going to be gassed to death by some like evil government or whatever, or something like that. I don't know. So the gas is going to be administrated into the room on their side of the room, right? And it's not going to leak over or anything, right? So you're safe, right? The person on the outside. And it's going to kill like all these innocent people, right? Now there's a button, right? There's a button on your side of the room, and you're safe always. And if you press that button in time, the gas will not be administrated. They will not die. And they'll also get out of the chamber and live happy, full, successful, fulfilling, happy lives and don't do anything evil and, so on, that kind of thing, right? Okay. If you just, press that button. Now let's say you have all the time in the world to press that button. And there are no downsides to you pressing it. There's no negative consequences. You're not going to be thrown in jail. You don't even need to put that much effort into it, Nothing like that, okay? You walk forward, 10 seconds, press a button, done. That's it, right? Okay. But you didn't put these people in the gas chamber to begin with, right? You're just a passive observer. You just happen to come upon it, right? However the hell you came upon it. I mean, this is obviously a hypothetical scenario. It's weird, right? It's kind of like if someone is hanging onto a ledge, would you help them? You know what I mean? But this is just assuming the best case scenario anyway, that they are innocent people, they're moral people, and that by you saving them, that is objectively a good thing. So the question isn't, should you save them or not? You should definitely save them. But the question is it immoral not to press that button, right? The person on Twitter was asking this person, do you consider it immoral, like a crime kind of immoral, unethical, to not press that button, to, not prevent those people from being killed, right? Because you didn't put them in the gas chamber, right? the person pressing the button, or not pressing the button in this case, didn't put them there in the first place. So if this person didn't exist, they would die, basically, right? And then, the capitalist replied, I don't consider it immoral. Of course not. It's fine. They don't have to press the button. There's nothing evil about that. What are you talking about? They didn't put them in the gas, that kind of thing. And like, here's the thing. That's what I mean by like, I saw this Twitter thread, and like the conversation, right? Out of context, right? I didn't even know it was about, initially, at least till I finished reading, I didn't know it was about like, economic stuff or philosophy or, well, that kind of philosophy, like relating to capitalism and socialism and that stuff. But I knew immediately, based upon the answer that person gave, they were a capitalist, right? And this is just justifying capitalism. This is just their view. They think it justifies capitalism. So aside from the fact that capitalists deliberately, intentionally, directly, first-handly make the proletariat poor, make workers poor, steal their money, steal the value of that they create. They're the ones who are doing the work, so they should get paid with the money that the consumers who are also part of the proletariat hand over, or whatever kind of work they do, whatever makes money, right? They should be the ones to get it. Capitalists are stealing. So capitalists aren't indirectly making them poor. They are, in fact, putting them in that scenario. They are directly administrating it. They could hand over their business. They could allow their businesses to become worker-owned, as they should be. They should be worker-owned. The workers should be in charge. There should be such a thing as a financial democracy. I know, how shocking, how scary. It's sick. It's disgusting how there's so little class consciousness. There's no such thing as a good capitalist. You don't even hear about this phenomenon of an ex-capitalist. Someone who willingly hands over their company, which they can do anytime because it's their company, and instead of it being private property, it's now common property. It's communally owned by the people who actually use the means of production. You barely, like, that might happen in, like, there's like a few cases in human history, but that's about it, right? It's virtually non-existent, right? Not even enough immorality. Not even enough morality spread around, information for immoral people to stop acting and behaving in an immoral manner. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. I knew this was like a capitalist who was just justifying their terrible system, their terrible ideology, and turns out I was correct. Of course I was correct. What other reason would they believe this? What else could this conversation be about? Clearly, the tweets preceding this were all about, this capitalists do that, capitalists, the financial class, the ruling class, do not put workers into these positions, right? I didn't cause the poverty. Now, of course, I did cause the poverty, but let's just change the subject, right? Again, this is best case scenario, right? Let's say we're not talking about a capitalist. Let's say we're talking about a multimillionaire or a billionaire, right? Someone ultra wealthy. And they didn't get their money from exploitation. They got their money from, cryptocurrency or the lottery or, something, right? Okay. So they had that money, right? They didn't really earn it or anything because you can't do that much work to get that much money, obviously. They just got lucky, right? Invested in the right stock or whatever, right? Warren Buffett kind of scenario, right? And, they didn't make anyone poor. They made themselves rich, but they didn't make anyone poor. Is it unethical for them to not hand over their wealth to people who need it way more? Way more. And they have so much wealth, they don't even need 1% of it. Not even 1% of it. Not even to live a really good life. Really comfortably, financially, right? Are they exempt from taxes because they didn't exploit anyone, because they didn't put anyone in, they're not like a capitalist, they didn't put anyone in a poor position, they didn't make anyone less wealthy? They should still pay taxes, more than taxes. They should give away all their wealth, virtually all of it. They should be taken, in fact, because to not take it, that is itself a violation of human rights. It's a violation of other people's wealth, their comfort, what they're doing with their life, what they deserve. Are they more deserving of the wealth they have just because they have it, just because they came to acquire it? They didn't even acquire it through, more laborious manners or anything like that. Not at all, dude. They didn't work harder, and even if they did, the whole point is to maximize wealth, no matter what. Everyone should be equal, okay? There should be universal redistribution, all right? And there shouldn't be such a thing as currency to begin with. There shouldn't be money. People should just have what they want have what they need because they need it. It should be just distribution in accordance with needs and nothing more. What's complicated about that? Quite the opposite. There'd be far less jobs that need to be filled. Bullshit jobs, all that kind of stuff, Just people working jobs that only exist because of currency. Only exist because they need to keep track of something financial, right? Remove money and remove a massive proportion of all jobs that exist all throughout human history. Much less labor to do, And markets and capitalism keep creating these unnecessary jobs, all this unnecessary work. But anyway, back to my point though, it's like, yeah, of course it's still immoral to prevent the gassing of these people just because you didn't put them there. It's the same with someone who has so much wealth. Of course it's immoral what they do. They're not entitled to that wealth more than anyone else, let alone to the degree of wealth that they have. That's ridiculous. Nobody needs that much wealth. They don't need that much wealth. And yes, they're still responsible for other people's poverty, even if they didn't create the conditions of their poverty to begin with. The fact that you have that money and you're not giving that money away. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, don't be evil. But, alright, well, telling an evil person not to be evil usually doesn't work, sadly. Sometimes it does, though. Rare occasions. Anyway, my point is basically, though, like, even just thinking about it for like a second, it's not that difficult to comprehend. My point is that this person, this capitalist, right, they came to they came to this belief, this conclusion, that it's not immoral to prevent these people from being gassed to death. To not, to not prevent someone who's hanging over a ledge, not to pull them up, they think it's okay to let them just drop and die, right? Or, not to give people medicine that they need to survive because they didn't poison them in the first place. You can think of any scenario like this, right? Dude, they came to this terrible conclusion because they want to justify their system. Worst part is that it's not even their system. Capitalism directly causes poverty. All poverty that's ever existed. In the modern world, of course, in communism, there can't be such a thing as poverty. People have what they need, People are given what they need because they need it. But yeah, I mean, dude, fuck. Like, that's such an unnaturally held belief. That's the term that I'm coining, at least. I've actually had this in my mind for like years, but I never made a video about it, you know what I mean?